Have you been asked on multiple occasions, why do you like all these geek and gaming things and you're an adult? Shouldn't these be things that kids do? Or are these things that you should kind of not be doing as an adult? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today, as far as why do people, in this case mainly guys, are drawn to the geek and gaming side of things even as we become adults, whether it's in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond. And I know there's a lot of people out there that stigmatize those of us that are grown adults that are into these things that are deemed too childish. And I just kind of wanted to touch on my own perspective as to why I personally am drawn to these things, even still to this day. And maybe some of you guys can relate with me on some of these points that I'm going to be talking about. And let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below as we go along. So the first thing that I wanted to note, at least again for myself, is the aspect of growing up too fast and not really being able to experience things in full as you should have as a child. And again, I can speak for myself. That was me. Certainly, I kind of stopped doing certain things as a kid when I probably shouldn't have, because I had this mindset that I just had to kind of get out of that. And as I was growing up and aging, like, oh, I got to do something else like that the bigger kids are doing, right? Or you get influenced because of people that are older than you that, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, you should be doing this instead. So you kind of end up limiting the experiences that you could have had as a kid, which kind of goes into the next thing, which is you want that perception that you are maturing, because you could say you want that admiration as you're growing up. Again, at least speaking for myself, that I was kind of wanting that admiration as I was growing up from my peers that, oh, look, he's maturing. He's kind of shifting away from these childish things. He's trying to do this, like, you know, with each step in the aging process, going into young adolescence and stuff like that. So it was like I gave up on certain things that I, again, probably should not have done, and limited, again, my experience on certain things as a kid. So my next point is that geek and gaming things, in my opinion, allow us to think outside of the box. What I mean by that is, again, in my experience, it has triggered my imagination like nothing else, especially obviously on the geek side of things, from storytelling and stuff like that. It makes you feel like pretty much everything is limitless in the way that your brain kind of thinks about things, goes about problem solving and stuff like that. It just feels like, I know this is going to sound kind of cheesy, but the world is your oyster. But yeah, it just makes you think just not linear. It just helps you to just think abroad and not be so narrow-minded on things, even if it's not anything that has to do with geek or gaming stuff, just stuff in general. It just allows you to have various perspectives on things and not see things as just being so black and white. And I mean, just think about it like this. If we actually lived in a world where we told people, okay, once you're 20 years old, you can't do any of these things anymore that have to do with geeky stuff or video games or whatever, we wouldn't have books. We wouldn't have TV shows or movies. We wouldn't have these video games, because these are all drawn up by adults that have these same thoughts going through their brains, and they're all influenced by these things. So it's kind of weird that we have people in the world that question grown people as to why they like these certain things, when it's grown people that are coming up with all of these concepts. It's just kind of weird, don't you think? This one definitely, I'll speak for myself, not everybody, but I was worried about what people thought of me growing up if I liked certain things. So I would kind of shy away from things that I knew interested me, because I didn't want people labeling me a certain way. So to put context behind it, I graduated high school in 2004, which I know to some of you, it's like, oh my God, he's a dinosaur. But this was before the Big Bang Theory came out. So I kind of looked at things like pre and post Big Bang Theory. So when I was in high school, I feel like that our generation was the last generation that if you liked certain things that were deemed on the geeky side of things, you either got, bullied at the very least or beat up on or what have you. So me, let my teenage insecurities get the best of me, and I shied away from a lot of things or gave up on certain things. Like I really love Magic the Gathering, and I gave that up going into high school because I was like, girls ain't gonna like me if they know I like this stuff. They back then, they did not like guys that were into that stuff. There was a bad stigma that came with liking those types of games or liking comic books or being heavily involved in video games. There wasn't people that are getting pushed up when it came to those things. You got pushed way, way down. So it was almost like an unspoken thing. Like if you did like those things, you just didn't talk about it, and you only talked about it with people that you might have stumbled across that like those things, but you still, to a degree, wouldn't just publicly talk about those things. So I'll give you guys a couple brief stories as to what I mean. So there's a guy that I hang out with, and we play D&D amongst other geek stuff in the basement, right? One day he was telling me that for his birthday, he had some buddies over and they were playing some board games and stuff like that. But he didn't say what kind of board games. So him not knowing what my interests are, at this point, I don't care, right? So I just looked at him and I just went in a joking manner. I was like, so what types of games are we talking about here? Are we talking about Monopoly, Yahtzee, Connect 4? Or are we talking about the goods like D&D, Magic, those kinds of games? Because I knew, like, once I kind of like broke the ice like that, because I kind of figured where he was going with it. That was my way to let him know, like, hey man, I'm on the same level. Don't worry, I'm not gonna beat you up about it, okay? Now, on the flip side, this one you guys are probably gonna laugh about because it has to do with me and my wife. So she didn't know for the longest time that I was even into this type of stuff. So I was in my early 20s at this point in time. I might have been 22, maybe 23. So at this point, we had been together a little over 3, almost 4 years. And I was starting to play Magic the Gathering online. So what I would do is I would play it when I knew I woke up earlier than she did. So I would play some games while she was still sleeping, but then I would exit out of it when I knew she had woke up, right? Because I didn't want her knowing, because I was like, oh, I don't know what she's going to think. So one day, I'm sitting there playing, and mind you, the way that our computer desk was, it was in the corner. It was a corner style desk, right? So I'm sitting there, and my back is to where she would be coming around. Like if she came out of our bedroom, she would have seen me on the computer. Now, mind you, normally I could hear her walking through the house. Well, this particular day, I just must have been in my zone and I didn't hear nothing. But then out of nowhere, I just hear her voice going, "What the hell is that?" You would have thought the look on my face, like I just got caught watching some adult stuff on the computer. I was like, no, nothing. After that, I had to come clean, and I started telling her, like, I like all this stuff. I just didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to scare you off and blah, blah, blah. And, it was a whole thing, and she's cool with it now. She busted my balls about it for a while, but, obviously now she doesn't care. She knows I'm into what I'm into. But just at that point in time, I hadn't told her about this side of me whatsoever. So it was just a funny thing that happened and a funny story that I could tell you guys so you could get a good laugh at my expense. The next point would be, again, for myself. I'm just speaking out loud again. I probably said that a million times, but I just want to reiterate it because some people might be thinking I'm trying to talk for everybody, and I'm not. I'm just talking from my own scope here, but gives you a sense of community that you might not have had as a kid. And in my general area where I lived, the geek and gaming community was not very big at all. So being an adult and having the access to the internet, as far as, not saying we didn't have the internet back then, but how the access is now to having different forums. You got Discord and literal forums like Reddit, even though I don't go on there, but you got YouTube and stuff like that, where you can connect with people on these levels of like minds of the things that you like, and you can find some sort of a community somewhere, and maybe not even a community like a huge group of people, but at least individuals that you know you can kind of talk to about these things and feel like you have an outlet to talk about these things that you know have a big interest in your head and in your heart, and things that you like, and you just, you know, like I said, you feel very comfortable and confident to talk about these things with other people and get enjoyment from it. And my next point, it kind of goes into I'm blurring the lines of nostalgia here, like why we like nostalgia, which will be another video for another time. But it takes you back to a time before the world just dunked all over you. And that's me putting it very PG and not using colorful language like I should in this situation. But it takes us back. We think about all these things and like all the times we had when we were kids. Like, I have talked to people with some of the stuff that you see behind me when it comes to the video games, because video games were a huge part of my childhood growing up. I attached certain scenarios in my life or people in my life based off of certain games and stuff like that, and it will just jog my memory bank on a lot of things that went on during my childhood and some of the good times that I had. And just being surrounded by those things, it's just like I don't know if you want to call it a euphoria, but it's like just a sense of relaxation and good vibes when I'm surrounded by these things. Which kind of goes into my next point, is like, it's a part of your identity regardless of your age. So what I mean by that is, you'll kind of, for lack of a better term, you'll be known for some of these things that you like, as far as the more people you talk to and stuff like that. I can't tell you how many conversations had started with just other people coming up to me saying, oh, so-and-so told me you like this, and they would pick my brain about certain things or wanting my opinions about stuff. Or when it came to gaming, like, oh, can you help me with this? Because I heard you're into retro gaming and I'm trying to get into it. Can you help me with whatever game? I don't know what it is. Stuff like that. And it's even if you were to try to give it up, those things are a part of you regardless. And it's almost like you'd be giving up a part of yourself if you gave up on, or not necessarily gave up, but if you stopped enjoying some of these things, rather it's the geek side of things or video games in my context as to what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, it's a part of you, and you're not going to be true to yourself if, kind of piggybacking off of some of the stuff we previously discussed, if you just stop doing them for the sake of, you're going to stop doing them because other people think that you should, because we're trying to put an age cap on it, instead of letting people just enjoy the things that they would like to enjoy in life. Which segues into my next point, which is, we are the most happiest, I think, and I'm again speaking for myself, but I would like to think others will agree with me here, that we are the most happy when we are either surrounded by our geek and gaming stuff, engaging with our geek and gaming stuff, and just being able to just let our guards down, stop thinking about what's going on in the world, disconnect, and just take a deep breath and just let all the stresses of life just kind of just go out the window. And for that moment in time, you're just able to enjoy what is around you. And my second to last point for this is going to be, again, speaking for myself, as you get older, you can't really do, not saying you can't do any physical activities, but your activities are going to start kind of getting smaller and smaller. The list will shrink as you get older. And I hate saying that, but it is the truth. I'll be 39 here in a couple months, and there's some things I just can't do anymore because my body can't handle it. It's just a sad reality. So when that list of things that you can do dwindles from the physical side of things, you might start looking at, well, what are other things that I enjoy that I could put my time into. And I know you guys can see behind me here, I got my guitars and stuff like that. However, if I start getting arthritis in my wrists real bad and I can't really play the guitar, you know, then again, that's one more thing off the list. Going back into geek and gaming stuff, even if I had arthritis and I couldn't play video games, I still like geek stuff. So I could still read. As long as my brain doesn't turn to mush, I can still read stuff if I would like to, or I can watch TV shows or watch movies that are made that are in the realm of geek and still enjoy all of these things. So for me, again, speaking for myself, it goes into what are all your interests and being honest with yourself on what you can immerse yourself in with your free time. And for me, this is what it currently is as of now. And my last point, which I think a lot of us would agree on that are around my age range, or even those that are starting to grow up or in their 20s and stuff like that. But you grew up in an environment where your parents didn't necessarily have the means to give you some of the things that you grew up with, that you either seen on TV or you seen other kids acquiring because their parents bought them all these things. And you didn't have those experiences because your parents just didn't have the means for it. So now that you got adult money, you're like, you know what? Some of these things I did like want to have, or I wanted to try, or something like that. So you will go out and get those things, and you may or may not like them, but you'll get them for those reasons and kind of attach yourself to that. Because again, kind of talking about something that I brought up a while ago, as far as I know, my game room's not all the way set up yet, but when you see everything, I've mentioned loosely, like it's like a museum of my life, basically. I could pick stuff up and give you a story as to why this is here and why I wanted it. So for that reason and all of the other reasons we discussed here today, I think it is a very good starting list, and I'm sure there's other reasons as well, but these were just ones off of the top of my head as to why guys in particular, not saying girls don't go through this either, but I'm just saying mainly I see it more in guys that they hold on to certain things, or they are engaging in certain things as they are getting older, that people would deem as childish and things that you would just need to stop doing and grow up and, you know, all that stuff. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments below as to what you think about all of this, and see if maybe there are some things you can relate with on what we discussed here today, or maybe if you want to add something in addition, I want to hear back from you guys. So until the next video, take it easy, and I'll talk to you guys later.